Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show, and it is time for your Cardiff versus Leeds post-match reaction. There is already 500 people in the house. If you haven't already, please do smash a like on that video for me. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. What a fantastic win from Leeds United. We put on a clinic from start to finish. Cardiff were not at the races, but let's not take any credit away from Leeds because Cardiff currently sitting ninth. Yeah, they're currently sitting ninth, and Leeds United have put on a performance today that's seen them absolutely get put in the bin. Yeah, get put in the bin. I can't remember a decent chance that they had. Leeds United scored early, then responded almost instantaneously with another goal, and then obviously we get one in the second half. Rutter's goal was fantastic for me towards the end of the game. Special mention to Ilya Gruyev. I thought Gruyev was phenomenal today. Like, for me, yeah, just a great performance, putting on a clinic, constantly checking his mirrors, getting the ball off the centre-backs. To be honest, the whole four, and I say four, I say, Ampadu, Rodon, Kamara and Gruyev. I think the four were class. Geno's just put in the chat, professional. Yeah, that's what it was, a professional performance. That's what you want. That's what Farker will want. We've got another week now between a game before we play again in the league at home, where we've been impenetrable this season. We've got 2 home games coming up, folks. 3 if you count the FA Cup. Leeds are on that run. Now, of course, Southampton have won. Okay, great. Southampton have won. But let them do what they need to do. We just need to keep checking off our wins. Ipswich, I don't know. We're 4 behind Ipswich. Ipswich play Southampton, Sunderland. Hopefully they lose. But as long as we keep winning, that is all that we need to do. Damas has been telling you, mate, there was people before telling me that Darko JB was better than him. For me, Gruyev was my man of the match. I thought Gruyev was phenomenal. We will be joined very shortly by some of the people. We've got Russ joining us as well. He's in the waiting area. Jer should be joining us. Luke should be joining us. So just bear with us, and we'll get these people in as well. Yeah, Sam, this is what I'm saying. People were fuming, it seemed, that we were only winning 2-0 or something. I don't know. Yeah, Gruyev, my man of the match today. I just thought, like, he just knitted everything together. He was constantly on the move, kept finding angles to receive the pass, yeah, and then released at the right times as well. I thought he was great first half, and he continued in the second half. As I said, the triangles that they created between them. He had most ball recoveries in the first half as well. Junior Firpo, I want to give a special mention to, because Junior Firpo I thought was fantastic going forward. Still question marks defensively. He wasn't tested in the second half. He definitely wasn't tested in the second half. But in the first half, a few times, only 1 or 2, but I think it's, that's where we worry the most. Until we stop worrying, we won't pick them points out. But going forward, he was very good today. He was key to the first goal that Bamford scores. Bamford, again, running across his man. Bamford didn't stop today. Didn't give up. Got another goal. That's 3 in 3 now for Patrick Bamford, which is phenomenal. So props to him, props to Firpo. It could have been 4 or 5 in the first half. Genuinely, again, and we could talk about clinicality and all that sort of stuff, but we could and should have had more. The press was fantastic today. Dan James's goal came from Kamara winning the ball high up. The passing from Gruyev, there was one where Bamford had a chance where he just spins it out to the left. I thought he was phenomenal, and I am going to bring in the guests soon enough, and I do want to ask them, like, We know that Farko, if he finds a winning formula, he keeps it. Is there question marks over now? Does Strout get straight back in? Because I think as a 4, the 2 centre-backs and the 2 midfielders today were phenomenal. And this wasn't Birmingham. And this wasn't, Peterborough. This was Cardiff away, who were 9th. As I say, Firpo, great going forward, shite at the back. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe, shit. But it was good. Great press, making Horse look bang average today. Listen, Somerville could and should have had, more chances. He was key to James's. Should have had a goal. Obviously, he misses, he misses a penalty. Unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. We win the game 3-0. I thought we were much better in and out of possession today. And I will ask the question to the folks: is that our best 11? I think it could well be. I don't want to get too giddy, and I know it's only one performance, but I think in terms of an 11, it looked really good today. If Rutter could finish his dinner, this guy would be £100 million player. I can't lie to you. But he does score in the end, so fair play. And that goal, I just want to speak about that goal. That shows for me a real camaraderie within the team, because everyone was so unselfish. Rutter starts off the move. Who sits forward? The 2 Cardiff players tackle each other. James then passes it to Somerville. Somerville then passes it to Bamford. And Bamford goes, you know what, I'll dummy it. There you go, Rutter. Have your goal that you so rightly deserve. And that's the key point. Whereas if before people say, I'm having it. And sometimes Somerville can be, guilty of that. But he realised the angle was too tight and said, you know what, I'm going to lay it on for someone else. I still think we could have made changes sooner, but that's the only negative. That is the only negative. Outside of that, I thought we were great. And we put on a clinic away from home and we won 3-0. So happy days. What I am going to do now is just bring in the guests. We've got the lovely Evie. We've got the amazing Jer. And we've got fan of the channel and regular watcher of all content. Russ. It's Russ. Russ, how you doing, my man? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Joe, yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Absolutely buzzing with that, mate. You look like you're bouncing up and down, mate. You must be over the moon.
And the best part about it, Joe, my dad, who I normally watch the games with, has gone to London to see a show with my mum and my 2 sisters, and has missed our best performance of the season, in my opinion, today.
What show's he gone to see, Russ?
I can't remember which show it is. My sister got him for Christmas. My mum and my dad for Christmas. They tried getting it last Saturday, but the seats weren't good enough, so they had to go this week instead and miss the game.
Well, that's his own fault, innit? I hope he enjoys. I don't know. I hope he enjoys whatever show he's gone to watch. Evie, you've got a big grin on your face as well. Happy days, great performance, right?
Oh, great performance, and even great excitement by Russ there. It's got me all giddy all over again. No, absolutely brilliant. I know I'm just jumping the gun, but man of the match for me was Gruev. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and for me, that is how you show yourself with a limited amount of minutes, and that is how you take your opportunity when it is given. All of these players who have either caused a fuss or anything like that for not getting the minutes, that is how you do it. That is how you support your team. That is how you absolutely smash it out of the park. And now he's in my opinion, he's given Fark a massive headache, because potentially, if when Strout's back, who starts between Ampadu and Gruev? Because I think he's really, for me, he was everywhere, and wow, what a brilliant performance by him. And Ampadu, I thought, did a really good job again at centre back. Wow. Defensively, I thought we were really good. I think the only weak point was probably Firpo, but he was fantastic going forwards. So, you
swings and roundabouts.
I think Somerville did very well. I actually think Somerville did better defensively than he did. I know he got 2 assists, but for me, I don't think that was his greatest game. I honestly was calling for him probably.
I thought it was his worst game of the season. I thought he was very poor today.
60 minutes I was wanting him to be by his standards.
And that's here, like.
You done Evie?
I was overjoyed.
There's no way you're lost for words. I don't believe you.
No, I'm not. I said to my husband before, I'm really quite anxious about this game, because you know, if any game can get in the Leeds players' head, it's Cardiff away from home. And I was just a little bit anxious because obviously we've had an away win in the cup, but is that form going to carry on into the league? You know, I thought it was a big game for everybody involved, including Farker, because I think that game management, as in team selection, not necessarily in-game management, showed we can win away from home by using Bamford.
Yeah.
It was
It was great. It was an unreal performance. I think you've hit the nail on the head with so much. Before I come, I do just want to say props to Gio Rutter, by the way, when he scored and he did the ailing guitar. I loved that, man. If people have missed that, he did do it. Joe, we put on a clinic, mate, away from home as well, man.
It was needed. It was needed. I did put a tweet out saying I thought Birmingham were the worst side that we've played this year, but I think Cardiff may just have pipped them to it. I'm trying to figure out.
But we've made them do that, though.
I was gonna.
Sorry, go on now. I will.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out in my head whether they were very, very good or if we were very, very good or they were very, very poor. But if you look at the panicking in the defense, that comes from the press, that comes from the amount of bodies that were there. I would be pretty critical of Pat Bamford's finishing today. He should have had 3. He had 2 very good chances. What I will say in his favour, though, was he did a fantastic job as an old school number 9 today. He made the 2 centre backs. They were on their edge the entire game because of the pressure that he was putting on them. When even the ball wasn't at his feet, when the ball was out wide and he was just getting in amongst them and making them unsettled. I thought that kind of stuff he did really, really, really well today. The finishing will come. The more games he plays, the more chances he gets. That'll just become a rhythm. But it's nice to see him taking a shot on his right foot, which, you know, normally go back to last season, he's avoiding that with it, with everything that he has. He'll try and get it on, but at least a bit more belief there. Gruev in the middle of the park, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding from a holding midfielder who could also try and pick a pass as well. I thought he was brilliant. Joe Roden on his fast becoming my favorite player on this side. I thought again he was absolutely immense at the back. You can go through the whole. Kamara had a very, very good game. A very, very good game. Again, same as the last match. 2 lads in the middle were brilliant. Firpo, very good going forward. I will agree with what's been said. Twice they attacked down his side. Twice they got in behind us, and twice they could have scored. So that needs to be better. But as was it Gattuso once said, sometimes I'm very good, sometimes I'm very shit. So, you know, it's in 2 parts. Going forward, he was excellent. Coming back, not so much. No, not at all. But it's a professional win again. That word just keeps getting dug up this season, doesn't it? Professional, you know. I did think we let Cardiff back into the game for a little bit, for 20 minutes in the middle of the second half. We took the foot off the gas, but we fixed it, and that's nice to see, because in the earlier games this season, that was becoming the product for the remainder of the game, and it didn't today. We kicked back into gear, and that was great to see. So, good job. 3 points. Well done. Move on.
Happy days. Ruff, why are you hiding, man? Move across. What are you doing? Come across, man. I was like, he keeps getting away out of the picture. I was like, what are you hiding for?
I was just, my dad phoned me to see how we, my dad just phoned me to see how we got.
Okay. No worries. I was like, I just didn't know. No worries, buddy.
Yes, our Leicester went on, our Ipswich went on, and our Southampton went on as well. So
good, man.
While we're here this evening, I've got the Ipswich. I'm going to have the Ipswich game on, so if any goes going while we're live, I can bring it to you straight away.
There you go. Look, roving reporter Russ live on the scene. JT, you're with us, my man. You must be buzzing. Firpo.
Another Firpo assist, mate. Another match. Another
Bamford. You called it.
A Firpo ex Bamford masterclass once again. As I said it to you a while ago, man. You put the 2 big dogs in the team. You put Firpo and Bamford together, and our fortune will start to turn around. And you know, you're all laughing as if it's some Mickey Mouse comment. But listen, they've been linking up every single game. You know, you keep laughing, they keep doing the business. But as you said again, I thought it was professional. I'm not getting too carried away as I have with other games. I'm impressed because listen, Cardiff, especially away, it's just our bogey team, isn't it? In football, you can have all the stats, all the managers, all the players. There are certain clubs that when they clash, it just always goes bad. Like even when we were under Bielsa and they pegged it back from 3-0 up, I always have bad feelings going there. So to go over there and do the job in the manner that we did, I'm very happy. You know, I was very impressed, thoroughly impressed with the performance. I think, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I think we just played so much better with Bamford in there. Even his goal, I know it was a scrappy one. I know it wasn't a world-class finish, but the fact that he was in that position, the fact that he was taking the gamble to get himself there, pulling defenders out of the way, I think that changes the game. Because in a game like that against Cardiff, if you don't get the early goal there, if you're not 1 or 2-0 up, listen, late in the second half, Cardiff did start to pull a good few attacks together themselves. They started to grow into the game a little bit. There was people I was questioning myself, should he make a few changes here? Because he did wait very late to make some changes. And had we not had those early goals via Bamford and James, it could have been a different game. But obviously, I thought the team flowed together very well. As you said, I'll second that. I thought Gruev was good in that position. I actually quite like Ampadu moving out there as well. I would potentially still say, listen, with Stroik and Roden fit, they got to start there. I would put Ampadu in there. I would have liked to see Gray in Gruev's position, but obviously because we don't have a right back, that's not really a possibility. But overall, as I said, I like the changes that he made. Very impressed with the Firpo change, of course. And it was just a convincing performance. Somerville, listen, I heard you say earlier was his worst performance. I wouldn't say it was his worst. It wasn't his best. I think what was the game he went? Oh, of course, by his level. Yeah, his level. Yeah, I forgot the game where he went down injured early on and then he carried on. I thought that was probably slightly worse. The penalty obviously doesn't make things look good, but he was involved in all our goals still. This is how crazy it is. We're all sat here saying by his levels he had a poor game. He was involved in every single goal that we scored. That's how good that he is. And that's the individual quality I'm talking about. I think there's still holes that need to be addressed in terms of our creative play. If Somerville is still the archetype of everything, despite the fact he's having an off game, I still think there are other players that need to pull their weight a little bit more. But I still have to say the team flowed together well. I'm very happy, mate.
Yeah. Listen, you've said so much, and rightly so. You call in the receipts, man. That's what we're here for. That's what content creation's about. So what I do
was a bang average player before.
No, stop. what I do want to say though, just to get you back, you also said Gruev wasn't it once, so I'm just getting you back there.
Yeah, no, you're true. Yeah, fair enough. You've got me.
I want to shout out Geordie, who likes to always give us tips on how to get on in the chat by FM saves and that. He also said before a ball was kicked that Darko JB was better than Gruev and should have stayed and Gruev gone. So you can't win them all, can you, Geordie? Over to you, Luke, mate. How was it for you, buddy?
Yeah, hi, Geordie. Yeah, absolutely buzzing. Absolutely buzzing, mate. I think that is the complete away performance we've been looking for, and I think to answer Joe's question, was it us being really good and then being really bad? I think it was a mixture of the two. I don't think Cardiff went the races today by any stretch, but I felt even from as soon as the first ball was kicked, Paddy Bamford. I'm going to call the receipt as well because I've said Paddy Bamford in this team, a fit Paddy Bamford, and we've got a completely different narrative. We've got a different direction, and we've just got a different out ball every time. As soon as the ball was kicked, Paddy Bamford ran straight into their centre back, and I knew he was up for it. I knew he was up for it for today. I just really enjoyed it. I felt we probably could have scored more goals, but winning the game 3-0 away from home against a bogey side, you're not going to turn your nose up at. Honourable mention, I thought Archie was outstanding at right back today. And I know we saw him at centre back for the cup game, but he just shown that he's equally as effective and as good at right back. Junior Firpo going forward, absolutely a class. I felt defensively, what we expected. Poor, got the only person arguably I think to get beaten. All ends up a couple of times. But other than that, I couldn't pick. If I was going to pick a poor player on the pitch today, I would have selected Somerville, but that's only based on this season's form. I don't think he was poor. I just think he was poor by his standards, as we've already said. So I think it was, as I said at the start, a complete team performance. Really happy with that.
Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head. Complete team performance from start to finish. I thought we were really good. I do want to, because I've made notes today. Check me out. I've started to make notes as I'm going, so I can ask you questions. I know, just things that I've seen in the match. And listen, Gruev, right? I want to focus on this four, actually, on the two centre backs today of Ampadu and Rodon, and then Gruev and Kamara. Now we know that Daniel Farker likes to keep a winning side together. You know, if you earn your place, you keep it. I think Evie hit the nail on the head when she said, that that's how you grab an opportunity, and Gruev has done that against decent opposition. I know they weren't great today, but I think a lot of that's due to us being so good. Joe, does Is there a struggle for Strout to get back into the side because it was that good, or am I jumping the gun?
I don't think you're jumping the gun. Farke has shown this season that he doesn't change a winning team. Outside the cup games, that's the other. But in terms of league matches, he won't change if the team wins. There's an argument. Why would you change that? I would rather see Ethan Ampadu in middle of the park because, as Andrea, when he's been on, has said, defensively, he's not as good a centre back as he is a central midfielder. So against slightly better sides, but luckily they don't have any slightly better sides coming up for a bit. So you could give them a run of games as they are and have a look at it. Strokes the captain.
Yeah,
does that carry much weight, or is he happy with Ampadu as the captain? There was bits of Gruev's game today I really like that Ampadu doesn't have, and that's that ability to win the ball really quickly and then push it forward rapidly. Like there was times where Gruev won the ball, knocked it out of his feet, and then just right turned and these very direct low passes straight in the middle of the defense. I love that. It catches people off guard. Ethan likes to get the ball and go back with it a little bit or go to the side or go around the outside, which is, again, it's fine, but there's differences in how the two of them play. And I think when you're playing against a side where there's more opportunities to open them up, again, the teams we played this year that have played low blocks, because Cardiff tried to play low block in the first half and it just didn't work. I think you get more line breaking passes from those kind of players and that kind of a team. So I think what Farke has now is an opportunity to be able to change this team depending on the opposition that he actually plays against. Now, against the better sides that will come out and play against us, I'd want Ethan Ampadu in the middle of the park and I'd want Stroke in at left centre back. And then we play against the weaker sides who will drop in. I have no issue doing a distance, hopping it around and going for a more adventurous team, because we were wasteful in our finishing today. We could have scored 5 or 6 easily. We were pretty wasteful. And I mean, Rutter even had a few swipes at a few balls that were just literally smashes. Like there was no composure. On another day, I think he put them away. So there's opportunities there for players now. But I would be surprised if he changes it, unless there's any reason to change it. I don't think there is on the back of that, because what's next? Plymouth next, is it?
Yeah, we've got 2 home games. We've got Preston, Norwich,
next,
then Plymouth.
Norwich, then Plymouth.
We've got 3 games in 6 days, though. 3 games in 6 days. So it's.
But Daniel Farke told us last week we were back to 1 game a week for the rest of the season.
It's because of the FA Cup, though, isn't it? That's why they've had to move Norwich because of the FA Cup. Oh, you're joking, right? Okay, sorry. I'm not used to you telling jokes, Joe. That's all. That's the first. I have put a poll in the chat, folks, just for you to answer Strout to come back in. Ross, would Strout come back straight in for you?
For me, because I've heard on the grapevine, Joe, that he's the new vice captain now. Luke Haling's gone.
Right.
So for me, he will come back in, I think. And I think he'll come back in for Gruev, which would be harsh on Gruev in his performances when he has played. Like you, Joe, and like you've already mentioned earlier, he was my man of the match as well today, Gruev. And I think we playing like he has done today alongside Kamara, their partnership were really good today. And you could tell that if Ampadu moved out, one of them to drop back into centre-back, and mainly Gruev, because he's played centre-back for Bulgaria. So for me, I think Gruev would probably drop back out. Ampadu go back into his midfield, and Strout will come back in because he's going to be the new vice-captain if Coops is not playing.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. I love that, mate. Thank you. Just while we're on Gruev as well, check this out. This is how good this guy is, right? So this is being put together by Johnny Cooper. Ilya Gruev today completed 68 of his 70 passes, with that the best passing accuracy by a Leeds United midfielder to attempt 50 passes in a league game that Opta has recorded since 2013-14. 97%. And not all of them, like you've mentioned, Joe, when you were talking just before, not all of them were like Ampadu, left and right. Some of them were heat seekers. Some of them were from one end of the pitch to the other. So, wow,
that's
what a performance.
Stat.
It is.
That's an incredible stat in the championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was said years ago. I remember when, I can't remember the guy's first name, Watson, who was at Watford the year they got promoted years ago. And the stat was, if you have a central midfield that's averaging like an 86% passing ratio or above, you're probably going to be in amongst the teams that get promoted. If he's knocking in 97 was it? 96%?
97%, yeah, 97.
From central midfield, that's crazy. And the amount of passes as well.
I think it answers that question as well. You know, we were asking each other why wasn't featuring, and at least we know we felt. I mean, I know we've talked about it before. We felt Farke didn't fancy him or didn't think he was competent enough. I think we've nailed that coffin shut, haven't we? In the fact that actually he can come in and do it now. So we know we've got a steady backup. Whereas I think a lot of people get throughout the earlier parts of the season was, you know, we're a little bit worried, really, that we'd sign this player that was just sitting on the bench and doing nothing. So at least we know we've got competent backup, I suppose.
Yeah, well, when he first started, it was a big difference, though. He was very sideways. He was very hesitant.
I think we were playing him out of position, though. I remember him coming on 8, 10, and it was a bit gone.
But even when he had his start in that position, he just seemed like low on confidence for me. He was a bit hesitant at times. He was a bit sideways and backwards. Like, that's why he said, I've been completely proved wrong. I didn't see this development in his game. Like, the way he's transformed, the confidence, and that just shows, sometimes you've got to give the benefit of the doubt. These players are human too, and they're not always going to start off banging. And how many times do we see players come back from injury and we judge them too quickly? You've got to give them a consistent string of game time. For me, like I said, I would still. It's so interesting with that position though, because if we sign a right back, whether that be a Connor Roberts, whoever it is, most likely we're saying they're going to be our starting right back, whoever we sign.
Yeah.
So then, what do you do with Archie Gray then? It's a good problem to have. We've got a lot of midfielders now that are vying for that position, which I think is brilliant. And as you say, it's harsh on Gruev because he's playing well. I would still put Gray over him, but I have to, just.
For me,
you guys are all spot on with it.
He's different. He's a different type of player there.
Yeah. And there was no central midfielders on the bench today.
Yeah.
By the way, there was no cover on the bench today in central midfield, so we need cover there. And if we do get a right back in, we go back to what the plan was supposed to be, which was Ampadu with Gray as his replacement, Ampadu with Gruev as his replacement, and Kamara with Gray as his replacement. And then you've got more squad depth there, because at the moment we still question whether Farke trusts all of the subs that he has. He trusts those 4 now. I mean, there's enough of data to say he does trust those 4 now, so he won't have an issue swapping them around or bringing them in when he has to. So it's good to be able to see that. But I mean, he's a Bulgarian international. There was going to be some level of quality there. Everybody needs time. It's a good point from JT as well. You've got to give people a chance to get up to speed with things. I keep talking about Newcastle with my mates, and you look at Joe Linton and Gamara's when they first came in. Gamara's a bit quicker, but Joe Linton struggled. Saw Almiron for maybe 2 seasons before they found their rhythm. And then when they found their rhythm, they really found their rhythm. So you've got to give players a chance to get to grips with it. And there'll be a level of that next year. If we do go up, there'll be a level of it with him that can he actually do it in the Premier League, or how long will it take him to get to grips with the Premier League? It'll take time there as well. But he definitely did take his chance today. And I thought he was very good in the cup games as well. There's little bits that he does, like the 2-footed tackle that he got booked for, which I didn't think should be a yellow card at all.
No, it wasn't.
Cracking tackle. It was very Berardi-esque, and I really, really, really liked watching that. I want more of that, please. But then there was the stand-up tackles in on the sideline where he manages to get his leg around players and hook the ball back through their legs, and he can go in pretty physically and then somehow manage to come out with the ball without fouling anyone, which is an art in itself. So it was excellent. It was excellent.
Love that. We've got JT's mum in the chat, I assume. Big up to JT's mum.
It's not my mum.
Joanne too? Who is it?
Town, not two.
Oh, Town. I thought it said two.
The initials are JT on that, so that's just
yeah.
Sorry, my bad. But big shout out JT's mum, by the way. My bad, but big shout out.
Lovely. No, that's not my mum. Yeah, shout out to my mum. Shout out Claire.
Yeah, exactly. Don't shout her out. No,
shout out to Joanne Town as well.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. You went like, that's not my mum. Joanne's fuming now. No more. She hates you.
No. She's probably too young to be my mum.
Yes, good save that. Good save. Evie, I want to come back to you. I don't see how Strout can come back in when you have a midfielder that's just put up a record like that. Thoughts?
Right. Yeah, I don't disagree. And knowing Farke, I also don't think he would disagree either. But I also do think that he repays loyalty, and Strauch has been his starter centre-back for the entire season, where he has been fit to the point where he's not chosen a right-footed right centre-back in order so that Strauch would actually play out of position, because he trusts Strauch more than his backup right centre-back. But has Ampadu been more consistent in midfield? Well, yeah, obviously, because he's played more than Gruev has. But I think for me, it just allows Farke a kind of to take a breath of relief, because if Ampadu got injured before the last few games, we haven't seen Ampadu be able to actually take control of that midfield. Whereas now, if Ampadu, touch wood, nothing does happen, either yellow cards, red cards, or an injury, I'm all right if Gruev is in the middle of the park, I still feel safe, kind of thing, and that's the one thing. Ampadu has made me feel safe throughout this season, because when he's in form and just on it, even when he does have poor games, I think that he's still better than any of our midfield from last season. I love the comment. I can't remember who, Barney possibly, who said that Gruev was better than what we thought Rocker was. And I remember seeing Rocker in one of the preseason games, and he did do it was at the infamous Blackpool game, actually. He did a beautiful diagonal ball, and I thought, oh my God, that's fine. We've got rid of Calvin, and I was gutted. But we've got somebody who can ping a great diagonal ball. And then we just didn't see that at all throughout the season, because, the goal is in the middle of the pitch, according to Jesse Marsh. And that's all, that's the only area where you need to play. So for me, I do think Strauch will come back in. But if he's not he will only come back in if he's 100% match fit, in my opinion. I don't think he will come back in if he isn't, because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to rush him back. So now we've got that luxury of Strauch being able to take time to recover, instead of having a double hernia operation and been on the pitch 2 weeks later. So for me, I think if Strauch is fit, he'll come back. If he's not, then I think he'll keep Ampadu there, because he knows we're okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great shout. Just to remind folks as well, it was only, I know we'd lost 2 on the spin, but people were saying Farke's not the man. No one on this panel, by the way, but a lot of people were saying Farke's not the man. We play rubbish football. It's boring to watch. Just to let you know, we've won 3 games on the spin, 3-0, with 0 goals conceded since that point. All right.
First time ever in our history we've won 3 on the bounce, 3-0.
Ah, well, there you go then. So, yeah. Chris, you've just joined us. Sorry if you were there for a while. Yeah, no, do it, man.
To be fair, mate, I was just uploading my post-match. Go watch it, everyone. There you go, plugged done. Good, that wasn't it? Really good. Yeah, it was. Really, really good. I was sat listening to you all talk for a bit. Has everyone gone Gruev as man of the match?
Yeah,
I've heard that stat. Yeah. I've heard that stat, and I hadn't heard that stat when I put my post-match out. And don't get me wrong, I thought Gruev was great, but I went Rodon just for the way he controls everyone and everything around him. He's just an absolute. I'd have put him on that penalty just to absolutely rifle one and take everyone out behind the goal as well as it bursts the net, because the lad's an absolute beast. But I can understand the Gruev call as well. I thought he was exceptional in the middle of the park. There was a few. Ampadu, Firpo in his I'll play where I like role was fun to watch.
Great. Can we give some Gray? Can we have some Gray propaganda as well? It doesn't feel right with that Gray propaganda from me. He's up against Carlon Grant today, and he wasn't
shut him down. Him and Dan James shut him down. Archie played that lovely ball over for Dan James where he hit the bar as well. Archie had a great game and kept coming inside quite a lot as well and creating width or space out wide for Dan James. He's a very, very clever footballer, is young Archie. He's going all the way. So there you go, mate. There's some Archie love from someone else other than yourself.
Thank you. To be fair, Farke's speaking, and he said Farke said it was Gruev's best performance so far. It's a position where we never had problems. Ilya had to wait a lot. Today he showed that he's a top player with a top mentality. And it's exactly what Evie had said about him coming on and saying, do you know what? I haven't been playing, but I'm going to show you that I should be playing. So that's very important.
Farke did tell us he was quality. Like Farke, go back, probably about 6 weeks when Farke said, we've seen serious quality from Gruev in training, but we just haven't seen it on the park. We haven't got him on the park yet. But if that's what he's seeing in training every week, then it tells you how good a job Ethan Ampadu and Kamara were doing to keep him out of that side, because that's a serious player. Like
100%. Luke,
I agree there, Joe. I agree with what you said there, Joe, about Gruev. Like Farke, like you mentioned there with Farke, he's always performed in training, and today I think we've seen what Farke sees every day in training with Gruev today as well. Today, when he's played before, he's looked tidy in possession, played simple passes, but today he played more than just the sideward passes out wide. He was playing balls through towards Bamford, in towards Somerville and James, and for me that was one of his best performances, and that's why I gave him man of the match. I've seen one of my friends in the chat go for Fred. He's from the same sports club that I go with, so just That's Azza.
Shout him out.
There, so good evening to you, Azza. If you're doing well, my man. And
good man. Yeah, that'll cost
message from Trev Weinstein, whose message said, as if I'm on the show as well on Facebook. It is me, mate. Hopefully you're doing okay as well.
Listen, I want paying for them shout outs. Okay, Russ, I'll get that money for you after, all right? You have to pay for shout outs.
See you later, Joe.
Good man. Luke, what really impressed me today as well, and I think Bamford's a byproduct of this, the press was great as well. You know, like Rutter up top because he presses better than Pirro, and we all go, yeah, but we don't press, and we have seen that. However, today we pressed effectively and won the ball all the time. They were all over the shop at the back, Cardiff.
Yeah, they won half, and sorry, just really quickly, it is the first time. I've just fact checked it. It is the first time we won 3-0 in 3 consecutive.
Any shout outs as well, mate? Do you want to?
That was LUFC Stats who gave us that. So
right. There you go. Big up Stats.
But yeah, no, and today what I really noticed with Paddy, and we didn't really see it as much at Peterborough, I don't think. In fact, we probably did, but probably not as obvious as today. Was there was different triggers for the press, and Dan James led it a few times as well, and they just look so organised when we put that press on in their final third, I suppose, sometimes, that they all just know. The only person who actually looked out of place and didn't really understand what was going on was Rutter, but that will come. But when we did it, Somerville moved over, or Dan James led the press, and Bamford filled in. It was just complete. I honestly can't really fault. There's not really a lot to take out of faults when you go to Cardiff and come away with 3 points and a 3-0 win. But yeah, absolutely happy with that, and really enjoyed that, seeing that press again. You know, that pressure and making them make mistakes, because I think we did. I don't think those defenders meant to kick the ball up in the air 40 feet and for it to go 10 yards backwards, and that they don't intend to do that. So, and it's certainly not down to the quality of play, because they've got some good players. So yeah, absolutely. And I think props has got to go to Daniel Farker picking that team and being brave, I think.
Yeah, for sure. He did say, look, I've criticised after the last few away games. Today we missed a few chances, we missed a penalty, but it didn't matter. We were really on it and we showed resilience today. And I think you're right. I think we have said in recent weeks, and it's fair to say it, that, you know, we've only played Peterborough, we've only played Birmingham, but today we played a team that were 9th, you know what I mean, that weren't that far off the playoffs, that have been playing well. So like Fark said, the win was never in doubt, and I was especially pleased with the control. Sometimes when you're 2-0 up in the lead, you feel too comfortable, but we stayed with our foot on the gas, which is another thing that I know Joe's picked on a few times. Listen, we've got 3 home games coming up now. Like,
he's a little bit right. He's not all right. We did take our foot off the gas for 20 minutes, so he's not completely right, because they were poor and they create chances, so it's not 100%.
Definitely. He spoke on transfers as well, which will be positive, because I know sometimes we can have good results and things going well and we go, oh, we'll not add anything. He said, look, we'll talk on the way back, but I've not heard anything yet, RE transfers. So that makes me think that something's going on, the fact that he's saying we'll talk on the way back home. So I don't expect anything will happen in the next 24 hours. But everyone can see that it would be beneficial in 1 or 2 positions to stay ambitious. So that's
getting a little bit late to make these signings, though, don't you think? It's I'd
13th of January.
Yeah, listen, but I'd expect us to be a little bit more proactive, especially given the fact
there's more days left than there has been in the window. There's 18
I know
days left
there is, but also, you know, you want to get players in as soon as possible so they can get used to the system.
You always have to give the counter narrative. That's wild, bro. There's 18 days left.
I think it's maybe that's just I'm scarred from the past, because we keep in the history of Leeds, we've left it late and late and late.
You mean when we brought in Raff on the last day?
Huh?
You mean when we brought in Raff on the last day?
Well, yeah, but how many players were we trying to get before that? Who is that? The world class Argentinian, Rodrigo de Paul, mate. We spent the entire transfer window messing him out with that. But listen, no, like I said, you've let 2 players go. I would like us to bring someone in a bit sooner.
I think you probably are scarred, mate, but I think the 49ers do business very differently. And I think as fans, we want to see players come in, but I think from Farker and the 49ers point of view, if it takes a little bit longer to get the right player in, then I'd rather us take that little bit longer.
And you'll have
how many players do you guys think we need? Sorry, if we were
they do work behind the ground, and they always do work in the background. Because I know people who for the San Francisco 49ers, and even with that side of the things, they always do things in the background, and no fans find out till the last minute. So maybe that's what they're doing today. That's why Fox said we'll talk on the way back. Maybe something is close. We don't want to let it out until he's actually over the line, and so someone else swoops in and nicks him like we have done in the past.
The word ambitious is an interesting word to use, because that's not a box filler. Then, like, if he's saying we want to be ambitious in certain positions, that's not a small move. Like, that's not a small player coming in, and you'll have to wait for those kind of players. Like, you will have to wait to buy a loan players or buy a player for Premier League club. You're gonna have to wait until they decide whether that player can go, or they bring players in or move players around. So sometimes you don't always get it on your time scale. You might want these players, you might have them lined up. Clubs will tell you not till the end of the window. We'll talk to you when we've got somebody else brought in ourselves. So it's not ideal. I agree with JT. I would have thought we would have had things lined up and ready to go for the start of the window. But as long as they're good enough players that are coming in and make us better, we've got a win today, so it hasn't really affected us. Leicester have lost today, so that's the beneficial. I did say it would be a tough month for Leicester as well. So I think if we can get the players in at the right time now for the bigger games coming up, it'll be fine. But I do think the word ambitious in certain positions is an interesting term to use. He doesn't say
to be a
words
big player then, doesn't it? If they're saying ambitious,
I would think so.
Right? You're probably looking at a bit of a Nico Williams with those kind of words, and the time is taken.
One thing I would say, though, is as well, we have to realise we're a Championship club, not a Premier League team anymore. And unfortunately, the Premier League clubs can afford to keep us waiting because they want to get their ducks in a row before we get ours. We're effectively going to be their competition next year if we get promoted. So why on earth would they want to do us any favours right now? You know, if they can keep us waiting, that's what they're going to do. And the 49ers are they're very switched on when it comes to things like that. I think they've done a lot of research while they've not been able to do anything for the last few years. They'll have been researching. They'll have had people in the background learning how English football actually works. Maybe our previous owners could have taken a leaf out of their book, and they wouldn't have got us into this mess in the first place. But we have to understand that we are a Championship team, which means we come lower down the pecking order than most of Europe and the Premier League. So
I think you're bang on. It's important to point out as well, there's a mini winter break going on in the Premier League right now as well. There's only 5 teams this weekend, 5 teams next. So, for example, when Company spoke about Roberts, he said, well, we'll wait till Luton's out of the way. They've now got 10 days before another game. So it's like, that's when they can sort out their business, probably go on the warm weather training like the other teams have this week, and it'll all be sorted out there. So fingers crossed we can get something sorted. And like's been said, I think the bit that intrigues me is ambitious, and the fact that he said, I don't know if anything's happened, but I'll find out on the way home, which makes me think that they are doing stuff while the game's going on, which again is important.
They should be. They've hired a huge 100%. Recruiting team. They should be able to do stuff while matches are being played. Like, and I think be like the way it was before.
I think as well, Joe, it's just one second. It's important to note that we did not have one centre back on the bench today,
or centre mid.
So it's a little bit worrying because you've let Ayling could go in there. So if Rodon or Ampadu went down, we're like, oh God, now what? So we do need to work quick. Yeah, fair.
One thing I would say as well is there's somebody in the chat has put about the fact that the 49ers aren't that clued up because they didn't know about Spence. How can 49ers know about somebody that clearly has an attitude problem? You know, there's only so much that you can do, you know, when you buy a product or a person or a player or rent them in Jer's case. And, you know, there's only so much that you can actually do in terms of research. So you can't really make allowances for somebody's crappy attitude. So I think that was a bit of a crappy comment.
And you get them wrong.
I agree, and I'd say they are switched on because we haven't waited to the end of the season to thin him back out to Spurs. Yeah. We've gone, thanks for coming, pal. You're not a fit, bye, and made room.
And look how brutal they've been with Creswell. Look how brutal they've been with Creswell.
Oh, and, you know, I've got a point about Creswell. While watching all of this kind of, you know, obviously the dramatic presser that Farker gave the other day, you know, very scathing of Creswell, is I wanted to know if anybody else, like, when Cooper replaces Strauch, he's just replaced really one player. Whereas Creswell, if you replace Creswell for Ampadu, for Rodon protects that entire back four at one point or another. Can we trust Creswell? So it's not just what Creswell is doing for Creswell's position in training. Does Farke believe that Creswell can do what Rodon does? Rodon is very unique in the fact that throughout pretty much the entire season, at one point or another, he has defended each one of those backline positions. And we already know his pace is absolutely incredible for a centre-back, as well as recovery pace. We already know that Creswell's pace isn't that great. So is he what Farke needs to replace Rodon with? And for me, that might not just be an attitude problem for Creswell, but he might not actually be the player that Farke needs, even taking out the attitude and the entitlement and the father as your agent situation out of the equation. He might genuinely not be the player that Farke feels can replace Rodon. Whereas because you've got Rodon there, Cooper can afford to be a bit more static because Rodon's there to protect him. But Creswell isn't that mobile. He can't cover that entire back four, whereas Rodon can. So for me, I think he should go. And
I think Farke really likes relationships in his centre back pairing as well, doesn't he? And that was clear today that there was two very good footballing brains at centre back today. If the long ball was coming over the top, one would go and press the forward. The other one would immediately just drop in behind him. The player that's gone and pressed would just give the forward a nudge, ball sails over the top, Ampadu, Rodon pick it up, and off we go again.
And I think played as a sweeper, didn't they, at one stage? They were almost one in front of the other.
Yeah, and it was clearly two very intelligent footballers stood next to each other at centre-back today who gave Cardiff coming through the middle absolutely nothing. And I agree with everything Evie says about you're not just replacing a player if you're trying to replace, if Rodon has to come out of that team, you're replacing someone who leads that back four, pulls people around the pitch, covers others when they wander off. So it's not as easy as switch in, switch out when you've got someone as classy as Joe Rodon there as first choice.
I do just want to add as well, Darko JV smashed it today on his debut for Plymouth, as has Luke Ayling as well. So if you go check on Twitter, they both had barnstormers today, which is good. I know they're no longer our players. Well, JB still is, but I love Luke, so I'll always.
Well, Luke is really.
Well, yeah, he is actually. Officially. Yeah, he still is. Yeah, officially he is. You're right. But they've both smashed
another contract, I see.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, because I think it's only fair, we have had a big gushing, and I don't want to spend too long trying for it. It's more positive, this one. But Farke again with the substitutes, and I don't want to whinge for whinger's sake, but we have got 3 games in 6 days next week. Subs. 75 minutes, there was still none. I think the 91. First one comes. The first one comes on about the 80-odd minute, I think, and that's Firpo. He's got a dead leg, by the way, so hopefully he makes it through.
First one was 85th minute. 85th. The subs were made 85th, 90 plus 1, 90 plus, and then 90 plus 3. The other 2.
That's what I'm saying. So it's. I know it's whinging for whinging's sake, but I think sometimes, because I say if we score the penalty, he makes the subs, and I think sometimes he's rather reactive than proactive. Whereas I think you could see Cardiff did start to get in a little bit, and you're thinking, right, have they dropped off a little bit? Let's make some changes. But yeah, that's the only complaint. Does anyone agree? Or think I've been too harsh?
He's about as proactive as a teenager going through puberty. Let's be real here. 85th minute. Are you having me on?
We need subs.
85th minute. So. Mate, of course we need subs. You always need to freshen things up. Listen, we got away with it. We got away with it a little bit today. Let's be real. But
why change again when we're in absolute control? It was a training game, JT. Huh? They were strolling around. There was no high energy. There was no big challenges really, apart from Inga, whatever he's called it, right back.
Perfect time to bring subs in. It's always beneficial, especially if you're at control, because first of all, it can help freshen things up for you. And the thing I'd say that makes it beneficial is if you bring them on 1 at a time, 2 at a time. It's so risky. Obviously, we're in the 85th, 90th minute, but what he usually does is waits and he brings 3 or 4 on at that stage.
Would you still be saying that now if we'd have conceded?
If we'd have conceded,
I should have never have made any subs. We were in control. That's what.
Because you still do. Because then, what if players get injured if they're tired? It's always better to make changes gradually and freshen things up. Because listen, first of all, if someone gets injured down the line and you have to bring someone else in, at least if they've had a bit of game time under their belt, then it can help them in future games. Not only that, but it's a very tiring thing playing 90 minutes of football. Some of these players need a little bit of a rest to keep themselves going. I think it's always beneficial to make changes, and you need to gradually bring some players in. Listen, today we got away with it. Having said that, I still think Cardiff were kind of growing into it. And you said it yourself, Joe. Had we scored the penalty, he probably would have been more likely to make changes. But I think that's a risky way to go, leaving it reactive. Because, yeah, we got away with it today. But how many times in the past? Look at that Stoke game as a key example. You wait too long. I
don't understand your terminology of got away with it today. I'm all for substitutions when substitutions need making. They didn't need making today. Like Luke said, we had complete control. And I agree, Luke, again, if we're at 2-0, we make subs and all of a sudden it's 2-1 and everyone's arses start giving it that, everyone would have been going, what did he take him off for? He was having a great game. What did he take him off for? He was having a great game.
Absolutely.
So sometimes he can't win, right? He can't win, can't Farker? Because
no, you can't. Fight a losing battle.
Complete control today.
So I was only putting it out there just as a counter narrative, just to get a discussion. I weren't thinking.
The tempo dropped a little bit in.
I think we should have brought some players in. I think
we controlled the tempo all game for 90 minutes.
Yeah, do you know what? I agree with that, but I do think that it's when we decide to slow the game down that's when we start to look a little bit shakier than we do when we're really going at it. And I think there was a 20-minute spell where we definitely took our foot off the gas. We were controlling the ball, but we definitely took our foot off the gas and let them into a little bit. But as I said at the start, the fact that we were able to kick back into gear, which we haven't done in previous games this year, is a positive thing. But I agree. He talks about giving players opportunities, and there's games.
Imagine they brought Nonto on and he got injured. Imagine the conversations we'd be having then when we're 3-0.
Yeah, I know, but let's be real for a second, Luke. Willie Nonto's an Italian international. It's not a gamble to bring them on the pitch. Bring them on 91st minute. It's not a gamble. It goes back to the same point. If Daniel Farke trusts the bench and there's no issue replacing players, there shouldn't be any problem because they're as good as what's coming out. But I'm not saying he should have made them today. I'm just saying in general, there's a pattern there and he does make them late.
What I meant, Jay, was bringing him on when we're in complete control of the game, say it's 60 minutes for the last half an hour or 40 minutes or whatever is left.
You've two opportunities to make changes in games. You've got games where you need to change how the game is going to impact you and make you better. And they're, the proactive changes that you should make, and he can be slow with them. But then there are opportunities to give players minutes and to get players opportunities to get themselves in the shop window with Farke. And they're the games where you're in control and winning it comfortably. And I go back to the Huddersfield game earlier on this season. That was an opportunity to blood players at halftime. We didn't do it. If you're going to say, and I keep saying this about Farke, if you're going to say one thing, back it up with actual evidence. If he's going to say when they get their opportunities, that's when they get their opportunity. So when they'll get their opportunities to make their impact, great.
Yeah.
When? Because if you're 3-0 and coast and you're not bringing anybody on, then I'm not saying just today, but in general, there is that pattern there. Like he could have brought a player on.
I completely get it, but I mean, I'll use Rodrigo as an example in the Cup at Accrington.
I get that.
Yeah, but you can flip it both ways. You're saying if he brings Nonto on and he gets injured, then he's made a mistake. But what if, conversely, he keeps Dan James on or he keeps Somerville on and they
we're having a conversation. We're having a conversation based on nothing, on something that hasn't happened.
Hypothetical, yeah, but that's what you're talking about. A hypothetical.
Rodrigo did get injured.
Yeah, but Nonto didn't come on and get injured, so you're talking about hypothetical as well.
No, but
we're both talking hypothetical.
You're wrong, mate. Anyway.
It's nice for me to not be involved in a debate for once.
There's people in the chat, right, saying the game was won at 2-0. It was with that team on the pitch. You make 2 or 3 changes, all of a sudden, who knows? And who are the players people most call for that may need a rest? Ampadu. You hate taking Ampadu off that pitch today.
You can't now. You can't because you don't have a centre back. Yeah. But here's a question real quick. I know you want to finish, but back to Chris, a quick question. If that is the case with that bench, do Leeds need to sign better players for their bench so they can make those changes? Is it just 100%. That bench?
Right. Yeah. Cool. We will have to leave it there. But honestly, great post match as always. Russ, thank you very much for coming on and offering up this thing. It's been great to have you, mate, as well. Yeah. Thank you to the regulars.
enjoyed my debut as well, Joe. Thanks for having us, mate.
Good man, good man. Many more appearances to come, no doubt. Listen, folks, please do smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to all these channels as well. JT Live, EV's coming soon. Andrea might be coming soon as well, by the way. Just a little bit of a nod there. JUSTJOE at Leeds United The View. Chris at All Leeds TV was post matches out. Go check out that. You've got Luke at Otto Better. He'll be doing a Baradi and Coke, no doubt, at some point as well. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in a bit. Enjoy your evening. Leeds have won, and hopefully Sunderland